Clive, do you have a moment?
Of course. Always.
I wanted to give you something.
Is this?
I stitched it from the cloth you gave Hortense. The piece she said you liked best. I told her I used to enjoy needlework, but I didn't think she'd remember.
It's beautiful, Jill. You didn't have to.
When I was very little, I recall my mother telling me that young ladies of the court would give knights ribbons from their hair before they went off to war. I still wear mine, so I made you this instead. White is the color of faith. Faith in your friends, your family, your purpose. Unblemished, unfeigned. Just like my faith in you.
Our faith. May it ever steer us true.
And may it ever bring you back to me. I will always, always be here.
Thank you, Jill.
What is it, Clive? Right.
can't keep this up much longer.
Please, Your Grace, stay strong. Ah, my Lord Marquis.
Yote, is anything the matter? You seem troubled. Perhaps I might be able to help.
My lord. Yes. Perhaps you might. It's your brother. His condition continues to worsen, though he does his best to hide it. The lesion on his chest pains him more with each passing day.
I had feared as much.
There are certain elixirs which can ease the suffering of those afflicted by the curse, but His Grace's case is severe. The drafts I have been able to prepare for him thus far have ceased to have any real effect. So I consulted with Talia and certain of my comrades among the Undying about the possibility of finding something stronger. And thankfully, a recipe was found. The only problem being that the critical ingredient is exceptionally hard to come by, and our supplies are almost exhausted. Unless we can secure more soon, your brother's anguish will likely become unbearable. My lord, I know that I have no right to make demands of you. But would you help? For Joshua's sake.
For Joshua? Anything.
Thank you, my lord.
So, what is this critical ingredient?
A rare herb by the name of stonerwort. It grows only where the ether is densest. The vigor it stores in its stems helps to counteract the curse. We discovered a patch near the aqueduct in Rosaria. But alas, yet more ether has erupted from the earth there recently, leaving the whole area flooded. The search continues for a new source. One that we might reach without being turned.
So it's only that you can't reach it? The Stonerwort itself is unharmed by the flood?
Well, yes, but...
Then I shall go in your stead.
But, my lord...
You've yet to find another source, correct? So for now, the aqueduct is our best hope. Besides, I'm a dominant. The ether can't hurt me.
Well, if you're sure, my lord, stonerwort is easily identified by its blood-red blooms. Search around the aqueduct, and you're sure to find some soon enough. I shall remain here and prepare the other ingredients.
Clive, just the man I was hoping to see.
Oh? And why is that?
You remember how some of Sir Wade's guardians took up residence here after the Akashic attacked? Well, now the rest have come to join him. Seems their barracks in the Lazarus have been lost to an ether flood. Now, I don't mind having a few more brave boys around to keep them animals at bay. I ain't daft after all. But we ain't got nowhere for 'em to bed down. Poor buggers are having to make do with haylofts and chocobo pens. I'd build 'em a new barracks here if I could. But where would I put 'em? There just ain't enough room up here on the rock. Which leaves us in a bit of a pickle. The people we're counting on to keep us safe are living like beggars.
I see.
And it isn't just that lot. There's bears to think about too. There's been more and more of them turning up lately, coming from all over looking for safe haven. But there's only so many we can shelter with the room we've got. We can't keep cramming more and more people into less and less space. What we need is a new home for our new arrivals. And that's what I was hoping you might help me with. If it ain't too much of a burden, of course.
It's no burden.
Thank you, Clyde.
So, where were you thinking of making this new home?
Well, I reckon we could do a lot worse than Eastpool.
Eastpool. It's been a long time since I thought about that place.
It was a tragedy, what happened. And if any of us could have done anything to stop it, we would have. But what's done is done. And those who lived there wouldn't have wanted the village they loved to be left in ruins.
I suppose you're right.
The blight might be pressing in, but I reckon it's got a good few years left in it yet. There's just one problem. A band of cutthroats have made it their den, and they don't seem like they'll be moving on in a hurry. Nasty bastards they are too. I've lost some good men to their raids. Would have sent someone to clear 'em out sooner, if my boys didn't already have their hands full fending off the Akashic. But now we've got a few more Guardians of the Flame to call on. I reckon it's time we made our move. What do you say? Fancy leading a raiding party?
I do. Eastpool was once home to people I loved. I won't have bandits sully those memories. I'll gladly drive them out of there.
And I know the men will gladly follow you. I've already shared a few thoughts with Sir Wade about how we might be able to win the place back, and I dare say he's got some ideas of his own too. Why don't you go and talk to him?
Of course.
Reckon Eastpool would make a nice little home for a few bearers and guardians with a mind to make a go of it.
All right, Sir Wade. Let's hear your plan.
And you, Lord Rossfield. And you.
I spoke with Martha. She tells me you have plans to free Eastpool and make it your own.
That's right, though it was mostly her idea. I rather fear my men have been treading on her toes somewhat since joining us, not to mention each other's. And then there are the bearers, men and women who found the courage to flee their masters and sought refuge here. We need somewhere to settle them, and I can think of worse places than Eastpool.
As can I, which is why I agreed to help you win it back.
That's very kind of you. I'd be most grateful if you would. With you beside us, we shall soon send that rabble of rogues running for the hills.
So, what can you tell me?
That thankfully there aren't too many of them. Fewer than a dozen at our last count, and rather less, thankfully. The road that leads there will more than likely still be crawling with Akashic. A small force would suffice to clear the village, but if the Akashic were to follow them in, that force could end up trapped between a rock and a very hard place indeed.
I'll head into Eastpool and deal with the bandits. You and the Guardians can stay outside the village and fend off any Akashic who come too close. Make sure I'm not taken unawares.
I can't ask you to bear all that risk yourself, my lord.
The Akashic are the bigger risk. I can handle a few bandits.
Well, if you're sure, I shall summon my men at once.
Shall I wait for you here?
No need, my lord. You go on ahead. We'll be with you before long. We shall see you there.
You think you can just walk in here? Kill him.
That's the end of that, then. Or maybe not. What's that thing doing here? Doesn't matter. It goes too. Any more surprises?
Bravo. A magnificent display, my lord.
You were watching. I thought you were keeping an eye out for a Kashik.
We were. Put down more than a few on the road, then arrived just in time to see you slay that... whatever it was.
Let's hope it was the last of its kind. Though I expect you and the Guardians will be up to the challenge should another appear.
I would hope so, my lord.
Your men will be bringing the bearers who'll be living here, I assume. It might be best to send word for them to come right away, before any other unsavory characters move in.
Of course. I'll send orders for them to depart immediately. Leave it with me, my...
Home. And without masters.
No. We're the masters now. Our lives are our own at last.
That's all of them. And not a single Akashek in sight. Now to begin the important work of rebuilding the place. It won't be easy. Especially not after 5 years of beasts and blackguards having their wicked way with the place. The masonry might still be sturdy enough, but half the beams are rotted. Those that weren't lost in the fire or burned by the bandits, that is. It'll take a bit of elbow grease. But we'll see Eastpool rise again. Just you wait.
So wait. Lady Hannah is buried here. If you don't mind, I'd like Oscar to join the rebuilding efforts. He should be a part of this.
Of course. I couldn't agree more.
I'll let Martha know that everyone arrived safely. If you need anything more, you have only to send a Stolas.
And we will, my lord. Safe travels.
Eastpool is in safe hands. Time to go and tell Martha the good news.
Ah, there you are. All went well then. Sir Wade told me you got rid of the bandits while his lot kept an eye out. Nicely done. And what's all this about some shape-shifting nightmare showing up? On second thoughts, don't tell me. It'll only give me nightmares of me own. What matters is you did it. And now we can build our new village.
I suppose it will be. What will you call it?
What else? Eastpool. Sir Wade said it best. There's plenty bad happened to that place. But that don't undo the good that happened there. No need to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Did Wade say that?
Well, something along those lines. Anyway, the poor souls might have made it to Eastpool, but their work ain't done yet. So the way I see it, neither is mine. If it's food or lumber or strong backs they need, the rest is ready to provide it.
Thank you, Martha.
No, thank you. You didn't have to help us.
I wanted to.
Clark, I'd like you to take something to Sir Wade up in East Seeds for planting. Thought it was... I'll keep providing them with whatever they need in the meantime, but if Eastpool's going to survive, it's got to be able to fend for itself. As of those poor bearers, they've lived their whole lives in servitude. But now they're their own masters. Small wonder they ain't got the foggiest how to provide for themselves. So it's up to us to teach them. And if you're wondering why you, well, the Wagoneers, Sir Wade's putting a brave face on it, but...
All right.
Thanks. There. That... Not the most mouth-watering crop, I'll admit. But they're hardy, they grow fast, and they fill a hole. Better that than something that'll wither away at first frost, and they ain't exactly succulent, but cook 'em right, and they're just about bearable.
I'll take your word for it.
Anyway, Sir Wade'll know what to do with them. I'll go up there and show him myself.
I'm sure you will.
Ah, Lord Rossfield, what brings you to Eastpool?
A delivery from Martha.
These are Gizal green seeds. Martha's keen to cut the apron strings then, is she? I jest, of course. You see, I had thought we might be able to revive the old wheat fields, but they'd long since gone to seed, only without the seeds.
Martha was hoping you might be able to show the bearers how to plant and tend these, so that they'll be able to fend for themselves.
That's not a bad idea. These bearers had only They know little of freedom, of providing for themselves and their loved ones. Unless we teach them how to live like free men, I fear that all we have achieved in bringing them here is to exchange one master for another. Not that myself and the Guardians have been the best example to them so far. Subsisting almost entirely on Martha's charity as we do, it's about time we all started to provide. Unfortunately, we've been a little too busy of late to focus on much besides bolstering our defenses. There have been alarming reports of...
The Horde is closing in. They're coming, Sir Wade, all of them.
Time it all. I thought we'd have more time. Gather the men in the square. Send to the rest for reinforcements.
Yes, Sir...
A Kashek, a veritable legion of them. They've been seen prowling around the northern reaches for a while now. We don't have the numbers to hold back a swarm that size. I had hoped to build a perimeter wall so that myself and the Guardians might be able to defend the village, but...
Now you're out of time.
Precisely. If reinforcements from the rest arrive before they do, we may just scrape through, but I fear that's rather an enormous if.
What if you could call on reinforcements from Eastpool?
You mean the bearers? We brought them here so they might live, not die fighting for their lives.
So wait. You said you lack men to defend the village. Are the bearers not men? Do they not wish to see Eastpool saved? Though they may not be trained soldiers like your guardians. What help they are able to offer could still prove the difference between victory and defeat.
You're right, my lord. I will appeal to them. My friends, I humbly beg your aid. We Guardians are few and our enemies many. But I swear we can defeat them with you at our side.
You would send us to the slaughter, to serve as bait for those fiends so that you and your men might be spared. And to think we trusted you. Say what you will, a home is not worth dying for.
But it is worth fighting for. Sir Wade fights to give you lot a chance. Just like I do. Just like Sid does. We all wanted to give you a home where you could be free. And you got one, didn't you? This place, Eastpool. This is your village. Your home. If you don't fight to protect what's yours, you'll lose it. You know I'm right. This world wants to take everything from you. Everything. Your homes, your freedom, your very lives. So then, are you going to stand by and let that happen to you? Are you going to accept fate like good little Bran did and die, having never stood up for yourselves? Or will you fight like free men and women?
What are you doing?
All right. Give me a sword. I never dreamt I'd have a home of my own. And now that I have, I don't want to lose it. I will protect what's mine, or die trying.
We all will. Free men and women, fighting together. For Eastpool! For Eastpool! Thank you, Martha.
Don't mention it. Just promise me one thing. That you'll show them how freeborn fight.
Gladly.
Well, if it was numbers you were lacking, you certainly won't be now.
Thanks to you.
Me? Oh, I just
Lord Rossfield, my lady, we're ready.
So what's the plan of action?
We'll divide our forces into several small detachments, each made up of guardians, bearers, and guards. Upon engaging with the Akashic,
You're going to lure them into the village?
I am. We will have neither the time nor the resources to treat the wounded, so injuries must be avoided at all costs. By coordinating our withdrawal through the use of messengers drawn from among the bearers, with luck, that point will be the village square. The perfect and for you and I.
A sound plan. But one that'll... I'd say you have both in abundance, Sir Wade. But you'll be needed, please. Leave the last of the fighting to me.
Ha! And let you have all the glory.
Sir Wade!
Then you know what you must do. We work together. Everyone playing their part, each shielding the other that no man might fall. That Eastpool might live on. For Rosaria!
For Rosaria!
We've no time to argue, my lord. I'll do as you ask.
And I will do as you ask.
Suppose we'd better do our bit too, then, eh?
Right, you.
The calm before the storm. And here it comes. I will not let this village fall. Finished. I can't go on.
Get them Casal green seeds up to Sir Wade in Eastpool, would you? And while you're there, ask him what the situation.
Anything catch your eye? Much obliged. Thanks very much. There you go. Thanks very much.
And here it comes. I will not let this village fall. Soil and stone! Looks like that's the last of them.
Lord Rossfield! Change of plan!
What is it?
Owl from the rest. An Akashic curl's been sighted on
Well, the better half of her got. So wait, how many?
Hard to say. I could.
No. You stay here. I'll go after the. Join me. Oh.
If you're. May the found.
Next one's mine. I might not know why.
Let's go.
Faster!
There it is. With me, Torgal.
Fine how.
Back to Eastpool.
Lord Rossfield. The curl, is it?
It's dead.
Thank the Founder for that. And for you. We were able to eradicate. I have guardians posted around the village to keep what I hesitate to say it.
I think it might.
We say. Thank you, my friend.
No, Sir Wade. You brought us together.
We never had nothing to call our own before. But now we do. We really do.
Forgive us, Sir Wade. You and your people saved us. And still we doubted you. But there's no doubt in my mind anymore. We're free men now. So we have to start acting like it. We have to fight to protect what's ours. To protect Eastpool.
And we shall. We all shall. Together. This is our home. And if anyone or anything tries to take it away,
they'll have us to answer to.
Come on then. Let's get to work.
This village isn't gonna rebuild itself.
They're not slaves anymore.
no. They're Rosarians. Your father took pity on the bearer's plight, and I believe if he were still with us today, this is what he would have wanted.
I believe you might be right.
I shall remain here, my lord, and do what I can to help rebuild the village. After all, this is my home now too. And I could hardly call myself an Eastpoolian if I didn't pull my weight.
I think you'll find it's Eastpudlian, Sir Wade. But you should be proud all the same. I'll have to pull my weight too. Can't have the rest getting outclassed. Speaking of which, I ought to be getting back.
Can we continue to count on your support, Martha?
Of course. And I'll be counting on yours too. Us Rosarians have got to stick together, haven't we?
Indeed we have.
And Clive, come by the Golden Stables when you get the chance. I ain't paid you for delivering them seeds yet.
All right. I will.
Lord Rossfield, do you remember our very first mission together? Clearing the goblins from the Stillwind marshes?
How could I forget?
There's one sight that I shall never forget. You, facing off against that giant Morble. Not a trace of fear on your face. Since that day, there have been more than a few times when I felt like giving up. When the odds seemed so stacked in the enemy's favor, I thought I may as well just lay down my sword and surrender. But every time, I would think back to the look in your eyes that day and remember what it means to be a shield. Know that whatever trials Eastpool may face, I shall never lose courage. Thanks to you.
So Wade, you have always been a true shield. I know that Eastpool, and indeed all of Rosaria, will be safe in your hands.
Thank you, my lord. I know the rest of the world will be safe in yours.
I'll do my best.
The hero returns. It's lucky you came by when you did, eh? Not only did my seeds get delivered, but you went and saved Eastpool and all.
I just did what I could.
And it's only right that you get rewarded for it. Take it before I change my mind.
Thank you, Mother.
So, Eastpool's finally back on its feet again, and a home to free bearers. Who'd have thought we'd see the day, eh?
Well, it was your idea.
I know that, but I never stopped to think what it would mean. Bearers in charge of themselves, thinking for themselves, working for themselves. Like your hideaway, but not even hidden away. Though I suppose the rest ain't much different nowadays. You know, bearers living free like that. Reminds me of when I first met Sid. Old as I am to recall that particular day.
I take it you didn't always see eye to eye. What happened?
Well, if you really want to know, I started doing what I do long before I met Sid. In fact, that's how I met him. Or at least how he came to meet me. He showed up at the stables one day, asking questions about who'd been buying up bearers. Founder knows what he thought I was doing with them. Running a hunt, poking around in their innards. Something awful anyway. Me, I thought he was a new constable. Thought the game was up. but somehow we both managed to work out what each other was about. And before I knew it, the cheeky arse was rattling on at me about how I was doing it all wrong. After all my hard work. Told me I was giving them relief, but not freedom. That my bearers were still dying as slaves. Got right under my skin, it did. Told him if he didn't like it, he could bugger off and report me to the garrison. And do you know what he did? He smiled. And then he laughed. And then I did the same. We made a pact that day, that whenever one of us was in need, the other would always be there for him.
And you were?
Well, we both wanted the same thing, to make life better for bearers. Just like your dad. Do you know I was born right around the time Elwyn became Archduke? Growing up, I saw how he tried to change things. He certainly didn't lack for ambition, that one.
Indeed. But the loftier one's ambitions, the harder they are to achieve. Which is why those of us who follow in their footsteps need to finish what people like Sid and my father started.
Suppose you're right, aye. And if we don't manage it, there's always them who come after us. Good thing we've got a few half-decent sorts waiting in the wings, eh? It's almost enough to give you a little bit of hope.
Just a little.
Anyway, enough nattering. Better get back to work. Let's see about making everyone some dinner, shall we? The least the folks who saved Eastpool deserve is a hot meal. And you and me ain't gonna save the world on an empty stomach neither.
That sounds like a wonderful idea. Good girl. Here's the aqueduct. Now to find our stonewort. Yote mentioned blood-red petals. Just my luck. Well, won't be making anything till they're gone. There's only one thing for it. as much as I can before reinforcements arrive. All right. That should do it. Let's get these back. Yote, I brought back all the stone and water.
Yes, my lord. Thank you. I'm sure it will serve us until we can find another source.
I'm very glad to hear it.
You and His Grace are very much alike, you know. You think only of how you might help others, and never of the danger to yourselves.
No more than you have minding my brother. You've risked a lot for him, and I thank you for it.
I am honored that you should say so. But I beg you, my lord, do not give too much of yourself for the sake of others. We could not afford to lose you.
I'll keep that in mind.
It's not time yet, is it? Right.
How are you doing? Anything catch your eye?
Seen enough?
Twinside's hundreds of leagues away. That'd mean the crystal is massive.
There's something about it. I feel like it's...
Ah, Clive.
Joshua, what's wrong? And don't say nothing.
It's... not nothing. I've received word from Cyril. The Undying have found Father's will, or something akin to it.
His will? How and where?
In the crypt beneath Rosalith Castle. After Kupka was kind enough to drive out the Imperials, the Undying took the opportunity to recover what relics of the Duchy yet remained. And in the process of doing so, they found a letter from Father.
I'm surprised anything survived down there.
Cyril asked that I join him in Tabor at my convenience. I have been meaning to go, but... would you join me?
Of course. I want to know what's in that letter as much as you do.
Very well. I am ready to leave when you are.
Opportunity beckons. Who among you is bold enough to heed her call?
Your Grace, my lord, I trust your journey was not overly onerous.
Cyril, you found a letter from Father?
Yes, I have it here. If you would do us the honor, my lord.
An inheritance.
It would seem the late Archduke penned this missive shortly before his passing.
The day before we left for Phoenix Gate.
What are these plans he spoke of?
His plans for the Duchy, Your Grace. Your father entrusted them to my predecessor, the former bearer of the Burning Quill, who entrusted them in turn to me. The complete emancipation of bearers is their stated aim. But your father's dream did not end there. His Grace also spoke of building hospices to care for those stricken by the curse, and the founding of a new university to further the development of non-magical technologies. With the blight spreading ever more widely across the Twins, Archduke Elwyn saw this as the only means of securing Rosaria's survival.
He wished to see men and bearers treated as equals. To see centuries of common wisdom overturned. Small wonder he did not think it achievable within his lifetime.
but he thought it achievable nonetheless. Had he not, he would never have written this message. Nor would he have entrusted his vision to his most faithful aides, those who would have stood with you, shielded you from the machinations of the less benevolent personages at court.
It's a pity only they are still with us.
'Tis true that those most loyal to your father were the first to suffer the Duchess's wrath. But one at least remains, and she has come bearing gifts.
What do you mean?
Mayhap it is better that she explain, my lord. After all, the duties entrusted to me by my predecessor extended only to recovering His Grace's will and arranging a meeting with the one who might execute it, or a part of it, at least.
And where is this woman?
She awaits you in the archive, Your Grace.
Thank you, Cyril. Shall we then?
The Undying are not the only secret fellowship in this realm, you know.
My lord, your grace. I hardly recognize you. I am Goditha, retainer of House Rosfield, loyal servant to the Phoenix and his shields. Your father, the Archduke Elwyn, entrusted me with the delivery of a gift. I only hope you can forgive my tardiness in bringing it to you.
Lift up your head, Lady Goditha. You have our gratitude for your service to our house and to our father.
I merely did my duty, as any proud Rosarian would.
My lady, perhaps you could explain a little more? What exactly is the gift you bring?
As I'm sure you know, it has long been the custom for the children of House Rosfield to be presented with certain keepsakes upon their coming of age.
Indeed it has. Our father often spoke of the day when our turn would come.
And had he lived to see it, he would have presented you with the treasures I bear. Matching armbands for you both. Alas, he did not live. Indeed, he was taken from us even before they could be completed. He had intended to claim the Heartstone with which each armband was to be finished himself, but it was not to be. And his gifts remain incomplete.
I see.
It saddens me to bring them before you, as they are. It was your father's wish that you be presented with the finished articles, not these works in progress. But with his grace long since gone, and the stone left unclaimed, I had little choice. You are grown men now, and his house is yours. And while I would not presume to insist upon your claiming the Heartstone in his stead, I know that nothing would have pleased him more than for you to do so.
Thank you, Lady Goditha.
What say you, Clive?
What else? Of course, my lady. May our father's will be done.
Oh, I am much obliged.
Do you know where we might find this Heartstone, my lady?
I do. Though it may be a matter of a good deal more than simply happening upon it. It is found in the bellies of elder griffins, you see. We do at least know where to find one. A certain specimen has made its nest in Titan's Wake, not far from here.
A certain specimen?
You are most perceptive, Your Grace. In answer to your unspoken question, yes. In fact, this is the very same beast your father meant to slay. I have been tracking its movements since you were but a boy. were you to slay it in his stead, as men of House Rosfield, it would surely make your father...
What say you, Judge?
What else? Titan's Wake is to the south of here. But we must not...
Good girl. Eyes peeled, Joshua.
There it is.
For House Rosfield. Is this the Heartstone?
I expect Lady Godotha will know.
Opportunity.
Are you buying or selling? Anything else? A fine choice. Of course.
Oh, thank the fat griffin is slain.
And the Heartstone.
Yes, this radiant luster like frozen flame. It is just as your father described it. Thank you, my lord. Your grace. Your father would be so proud.
Lady Goditha, the lapidary is ready.
Thank you, Cyril. I will be with him shortly. If you would excuse me, I shall have the stone cut and set forthwith. The armbands are complete. Pray, take them. They are yours, after all. Heartstone is harder and more enduring than garnet, or even ruby. It symbolizes unwavering will and devotion. And the graven vines encircling the stone represent the unbreakable bonds between you.
It's a message. Father knew we had enemies both inside and outside the duchy. Enemies who would thwart his vision. Only with unwavering devotion would it ever be realized.
And only if we stood together, as Phoenix and Shield, as brothers in arms, only then might those enemies be overcome.
Indeed. His Grace knew the enormity of the task he would entrust to you, his heirs. But this was more than just a message. It was a promise. That he would always be with you.
Thank you, Lady Goditha, for remaining the steadfast custodian of our father's will.
Forgive me, there is something I don't... The Undying told me that after Father died, even if the armbands were incomplete. So...
Because I was the keeper of the vault. Of the deep love. In the days before, I tried to warn when word of the fire reached Rosalind.
And thank them.
Yet my duty to your father was incomplete. And so my he informed me...
Lady Goditha.
As do I.
Thank you for coming.
The bands, it must be gratifying to find.
It is.
If you would permit me to play my... Let him see that you...
I suppose it would be... What do you say, Clive?
I was hoping to be...
Your father's helm is enshrined since the day we recovered. I prithee, claim it. And I do not doubt that your father...
Thank you, Cyril. Come on, Clive. Unwavering will and an unbreakable bond. Do you really think we're strong enough?
To save the world? Of course. To have overcome Father's political enemies? Of that I'm less certain. Especially knowing what we know now. What Mother was truly capable of. But perhaps these bands would have helped. Knowing he was with us would have made all the difference.
It's just back there. Father always fought for what he believed was right. It wasn't until that night at Phoenix Gate that I realized I had never fought for anything. I always had someone else to do the fighting for me.
No matter how fate conspired against him, he never lost heart, never looked back, never stopped fighting. To me, he was the greatest of men. And I've been trying to live up to his ideals ever since.
We all have, Clive. We all have. And we'll keep trying. Because that's what he would have wanted.
What he would have done himself. Even if it meant standing against the very gods in the heavens.
I shall be borrowing this, Father, if I may. That you might watch over us as we follow in your footsteps.
We won't lay you down.
Onward then.
Onward. To the end.
And to a new beginning.
If Joshua's worried about Jill, Joshua, I don't think I'd realized how different, but since we returned from Drake's spine, I felt it more and more.
I suppose it's not hard to imagine why.
She doesn't think she belongs anymore.
And that's why we need to remind her she is still one of us. To let her know that we still need her. But how to do that? When last we were
Of course. Do you remember the time we accompanied Father on his annual tour of the Duchy, and Jill and I broke from the procession to ride up Man's Hill?
To see that it was the first time Father had allowed us to join him. And when he realized you were missing, he had the entire retinue down to the pot boys combing the countryside.
In the rain. A thunderstorm forced us to take refuge in a grove of oaks before we'd even made it halfway there. It was the Lord Commander who finally found us, and needless to say, he was none too pleased.
Then it seems you and Jill have unfinished business. What do you say?
Man's Hill.
Oh, true. Though I suspect it is also much changed. Little in southern Rosaria remains as it was when we were children.
You're saying I should go and scout the area for bandits?
I'm saying we should first go and see if there are actually still any snow daisies left. What would you do without me, Clive?
This is the place, but...
I'm sorry, Clive.
There's nowhere been spared. What do we do now?
We keep looking. Man's Hill cannot be the only place where snow daisies grow.
Perhaps, but... it's the only place I know of. Knew of.
Then why not ask someone who might know of another?
Someone in the backyard? To the hideaway, then. Let's hope one of the gardeners knows where to find snow daisies.
To what do I owe the honor? Not saying fortune, do you? Anything else?
Say what you will.
Oh. What brings you down from the heavens, Sid?
I need your advice. Joshua and I are looking for a place where snow daisies grow. Preferably in abundance.
Snow daisies. Then you'll want somewhere not too hot and not too cold. And where the winds are strong enough to carry the seeds. I reckon Man's Hill would be a good place to start. There in the Royal Meadows, perhaps? Both have similar climbs and the right elevation. If the Blight hasn't claimed them yet.
Right. Thank you.
Did
the gardener...
I recall, so I are.
Who's sure?
Dominion's all but done for.
Then it's lucky we stayed here.
Was that shouting I heard from the barracks?
Do you think he was the only one who survived?
Fly, Ambrosia. Quiet. The meadows are vast. Where do we even start?
Yote mentioned the coastline. We can start there.
See them? I do. The flowers and our friends. You're finished. What do you see, boy? Let's hope this is... Last one.
Only one way to find out.
That was harder than I expected. But found her. It was worth it. They're beautiful.
Do you think
she'll love them?
It appears my work is done. Well, we wouldn't want another thunderstorm.
Jill, there's something I'd like to show you.
There is? And where might this something be?
It's, not here. Now, I know this is sudden, but how would you fancy a trip to Oriflamme?
There are so many. This is what you wanted to show me. Yeah, I don't know what to say.
You don't need to say anything. The smile on your face is enough. We've been worried about you, Joshua and I. Do you remember when I took you to Man's Hill? Or tried to?
How could I forget? You saw me crying and thought a change of scenery might lift my spirits. In the end, it earned me a nasty cough and a stern scolding from your mother. But I felt wonderful nonetheless.
I'm sorry. I had no idea what I was getting us both into. But I couldn't bear to see you like that.
Before we left, my chambermaid told me she'd overheard your mother talking about my marriage prospects with some of the noblewomen at court. They were debating whether it would be more profitable to marry me off to one of the high houses instead of saving me for the ducal line. No one thought to ask me what I wanted. I was nothing to them. A pawn at best. I felt so trapped. So lonely.
I didn't know.
But I wasn't alone. You were there. Your hand in mine as we ran for those oaks. And I knew then, no matter what happened, I would be all right. I'll never forget that feeling. Before we broke camp, the morning after the storm, do you know what I did?
No? What?
I slipped away from my governess to climb the tor. And from there I saw a sea of petals, all reaching for the sun. And I realized that no matter how terrible the night, dawn would always come. That you would always come for me. And you have. Again and again.
Where do you see us? When all this is over?
I don't know. Not here, though. I think I've outgrown the twins. After everything we've been through, the realm just seems so small. I'll need some space to spread my wings.
Then that's what you'll have. And I'll stop at nothing to see that you do.
was much good at garlands, but it'll have to do.
I'll treasure it forever.
Thank you, Clive. For this, the flowers, for everything. It's exactly what I needed. You are my treasure. We should probably be getting back. I expect the others are wondering where we are.
You're right. There's still much to do.
And we'll do it together.
The Vith and the Lost. But why now? After all this time.
Why, what now?
Oh, I'm not sure you'd believe me if I told you.
After all we've been through. I doubt there's anything that could surprise me at this point.
All right then. Rouse Joshua and meet me in the mess. We'll talk there. I see we're all here.
So, what is it this time?
I'm not sure yet. The letter delivered to my chambers omitted a few crucial details.
Do we know its provenance?
That was one of the details it omitted. But whoever the sender was, it seems the Dame held them in high enough regard to point them in our direction.
The Dame? Well, she's not one to waste our time. It must be important.
Important might be an understatement. If the letter is to be believed, Leviathan's dominant is in danger. And someone wants us to save him.
Leviathan?
So the Warden of Water has finally returned. What has it been? 100 years?
More. The Lost moniker dates back at least that long. Even our venerable lawsman would not have been so much as a glint in his father's eye when last the mighty serpent brought his crushing waves to bear upon the realm.
But why the gap? I know it can be a few years before a new dominant's born. But over a century?
Should the dominant of Water's bloodline have been severed somehow, it could have prevented a new dominant from awakening.
But if one has awakened now, he couldn't have chosen a worse time. Every nation in the realm has lost its dominant. If word gets out that there is still one to be had, they will stop at nothing to claim it for their own.
And the twins will be at war again, just when humanity most needs to come together. Did the letter say anything else?
Only that if I wish to know more, we must meet in person. And that the Veil can arrange a meeting.
If nothing else, you can be certain it ain't a trap.
Famous last words. I'm coming with you.
As am I.
Thank you. Both of you. And Otto?
Yeah. I'll keep an eye on things here. Didn't fancy coming anyway.
Thank you. I shall leave the Invincible in your capable hands. To the Veil it is, then.
And it's lucky we stayed here.
Was that shouting I heard from the barracks?
And you're just gonna fall into line?
What else can I do?
I'm looking for a Layla.
You found one. So, will your friends be joining in? Or just watching?
We're not here for your services. We simply want to talk.
What you do with your time is up to you. The price is still the same.
We're here about the letter.
Oh, sorry. I suppose you'll be wanting to know who wrote it then.
Among other things.
Look, I'm just the messenger here. There's only so much I can tell you.
Specifically?
A location, north of town, on the shore of Isle of Feist Bay. There you'll find a tent, and the woman who can answer your questions.
And that's all? Nothing else?
Actually, one thing. There's more than flowers in the meadows these days. So keep that sword of yours to hand.
Does anyone else think it's strange that this woman should prefer to keep to the outskirts of town?
Not if she realizes the value of the information she's party to.
And the danger it puts her in.
We already have a leader in the town.
The tent is where Layla said it would be.
Yes, but who awaits us inside?
A boat. No prizes for guessing who that belongs to. It's empty. Why am I not surprised? The embers are still warm.
So you're Sid.
I suppose I must be. Which means you have me at a disadvantage.
Apologies. I am Shula, tributary of Mysidia, final haven of the Moats of Water.
The Moats of Water.
The very tribe into which it was believed Leviathan's dominant was born. A people notable for their sapphire eyes and ivory hair. Yet that would be impossible, since the tribe famously...
Vanished. Was exterminated. Despite the best efforts of both church and state, we are still very much alive. Though we've managed to keep that fact hidden from good Krieger's faithful for over a century.
Along with Leviathan's dominant.
That wave out there. What do you know of it?
The Surge. Only that it's been there a long time.
Since the fall of Drake's Eye almost a century ago. Some claim the two are connected, but none can speak with any certainty.
So in other words, you know nothing. Not that I'll hold it against you. The wave was raised by Leviathan in an act of rage. Moments before the waters were stayed, and the icon and its dominant bound within.
And you want us to?
Rescue him. Yes. You see, a little bird told me about a certain outlaw with a singular knack for putting unruly dominants in their place. And ours is about as unruly as they get. For years, we've searched for someone who could hold their own against an icon. Someone just like you. So what do you say? Will you help us?
What exactly did your dominant do to warrant this punishment?
What did he do? He committed the greatest crime one of his kind can. He was born. But he deserves a better fate than the one my people forced upon him. He deserves to be free.
As do we all. Very well. Far-fetched though your tale may seem, something tells me you speak in earnest. So we will do what we can for your dominant. But first, you will tell us everything you know about him and the means of his imprisonment.
I can do better than that. I can show you. Care to take a trip across the bay? My people await you there.
Lead the way.
All right, you might want to hold on to something. We're coming up on the wall, and passing through can take a bit of getting used to.
I don't see any wall.
Of course you don't. That's the point. It's a glamour woven by our ancestors to keep our village hidden from prying eyes. But don't take my word for it. What?
Oh, that was worse than a slug of Bacchus wine.
Clive, the sky.
It's blue, but how is that possible?
You do know what a glamour is, don't you? Ours just happens to work both ways, and a good thing too. I wouldn't fancy staring at those sickly clouds every day. And that concludes our little voyage. We're here. It's a long slog to the village, and a hard one. I hope you're up for a climb. What? You didn't think we'd arrived, did you? The village isn't up here. It's on the other side of the mountain.
Of course it is.